Liam and Emma had always been the kind of couple people admired. Their love felt effortless, like sunlight spilling into a quiet room, warm and comforting. They had met 2 years ago at a small cafe, and since then, their lives had intertwined in the most beautiful way. Liam, with his calm demeanor and gentle smile, adored Emma's laughter, which seemed to light up even the dullest days. Emma, with her soft voice and caring heart, found in Liam a safe place, a partner who truly understood her. Now, as they prepared to welcome their first child, their excitement was endless, but so was a quiet tension they couldn't quite shake. The morning had started like any other. Liam brewed coffee while Emma sat at the kitchen table, gently rubbing her growing belly. "I can't believe it's almost time," Emma said softly, her eyes shining with a mix of joy and nerves. Liam smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I know, love. We'll be okay. Just focus on our little one." Across town, their families were stirring. Liam's parents were supportive, always doting on their son and sharing advice, but Emma's in-laws had never fully accepted him. There were whispers behind closed doors, subtle glances exchanged, and Emma had learned to smile through it, not wanting tension on what should have been happy occasions. She sometimes worried that family greed and jealousy would overshadow this special moment, but Liam's presence always calmed her. The day was bright and warm, yet an invisible weight seemed to hang in the air. Emma felt a strange flutter in her stomach, a mix of excitement and unease. "Liam, I think it's starting," she said suddenly, clutching his hand. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with the sudden rush of anticipation. Liam's heart skipped. "Okay, let's go. I've got you." He quickly helped Emma into the car, his mind racing with both worry and hope. As they drove to the hospital, Emma's breathing became shallow, and Liam held her hand tightly, whispering reassurances. The city passed by in a blur. Street lights flickered, cars honked in the distance, but in the car, it was just the two of them, clinging to each other in a fragile bubble of fear and love. At the hospital, nurses guided them quickly through the corridors. Emma's strength was surprising. She gripped Liam's hand as they entered the labor ward. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and flowers, an odd combination that somehow heightened the tension. Liam held her close, stroking her hair and whispering words of comfort. "You're so strong, Emma. We'll see our baby soon. I promise." While Liam focused on Emma, the subtle tension of the day became more apparent. In the waiting room, Emma's in-laws gathered. Their smiles seemed slightly forced, their eyes not quite matching their words. "It's just labor, isn't it?" one whispered to another, a note of amusement in her tone. They spoke in low voices, unaware that Liam could hear fragments through the thin wall. A chill ran down his spine, but he turned his attention back to Emma, shaking off the unease. Inside the delivery room, the doctor arrived, checking vitals and explaining what would happen. Emma listened, nodding, but her mind wandered to the baby she had already imagined so vividly. Liam squeezed her hand, feeling her tension melt slightly under his touch. The contractions started intensifying, and the room filled with the rhythmic sound of her breathing and the doctor's calm instructions. Hours passed. Liam never left Emma's side, guiding her through each wave of pain, encouraging her, holding her through every tear and shiver. Emma's face glistened with sweat, but her eyes always sought Liam's, and he mirrored her determination with every word and touch. The love in that room was palpable, a quiet force stronger than fear, stronger than uncertainty. Outside, the in-laws continued their subtle celebration, convinced of some hidden benefit in Emma's struggle. Their quiet murmurs hinted at jealousy and greed, creating an invisible storm outside the sanctuary of the delivery room. Liam, unaware of the full extent, felt a growing anxiety, an instinct that something was wrong, though he couldn't yet name it. Then, the unexpected happened. A sudden contraction gripped Emma with more intensity than before. She gasped, clutching Liam's hand like a lifeline. The doctor's calm voice turned urgent. "Liam, she's in distress. We need to act fast." Panic flashed in Liam's eyes, but he swallowed it, focusing on Emma. He leaned close to her ear, whispering, "I'm right here, Emma. We'll get through this together." Emma squeezed his hand tightly, tears streaming down her face, but her expression held courage. "I love you," she whispered, barely audible over the beeping machines. Liam kissed her forehead, feeling an overwhelming mix of love, fear, and helplessness. This was supposed to be a day of joy, yet now it teetered on the edge of tragedy. The room became a flurry of activity. Nurses moved swiftly, instruments clinked, and the doctor gave quick commands. Liam's heart pounded. The world outside seemed to disappear. Every second stretched into eternity. And then, in a fleeting glance, Liam noticed the change in the doctor's expression, a hint of worry that made his stomach twist. Something was about to happen, something that would change everything. As Emma breathed through the next contraction, gripping his hand like a lifeline, Liam whispered a silent promise to both her and the baby. He would do everything to protect them, to see this family through, no matter what came next. The door closed behind the nurse, the room held its breath, and a story that had begun with love and hope was about to take a turn that none of them would ever forget. The minutes stretched into hours, though to Liam, it felt like a lifetime. Emma's pain was visible in every trembling breath, every bead of sweat sliding down her face. He held her hand tightly, murmuring words of encouragement, but the fear in his heart grew heavier with each passing moment. The hospital room, once filled with hope and excitement, now carried a weight of tension so thick Liam could almost touch it. The doctor's movements became faster, more urgent. "Liam, she's having complications. I need you to stay calm, but we have to act quickly," he said, his voice steady but carrying an edge that made Liam's stomach churn. Emma's face contorted with pain, yet she tried to smile at Liam, a weak, fleeting gesture that almost broke him. "I'm here," he whispered, kissing her hand. "We'll get through this, Emma. Just hold on." Outside the room, the soft murmur of the in-laws could be heard through the walls. Their low laughter and whispers were so out of place it made Liam's blood run cold. He hadn't noticed the intensity of their glances before, but now, every smirk and sideways glance seemed deliberate. "What are they thinking?" Liam muttered under his breath, squeezing Emma's hand harder. But there was no time for anger. Emma needed him fully here, fully present. The nurses moved efficiently, adjusting machines, checking monitors, and whispering instructions to each other. Liam stayed by Emma's side, wiping her sweat, brushing her hair from her face, speaking her name softly as though that alone could pull her through the pain. He noticed the trembling in her hands, the way she bit her lip to fight back tears, and his own eyes stung. He had never felt so powerless in his life. Then, as if the room itself held its breath, Emma let out a cry sharper than any before. Liam's heart stopped. The doctor called for more assistance, his voice steady but urgent. "We need to move fast. Emma is losing too much blood." Panic shot through Liam like lightning. He held onto her hand with everything he had, feeling the warmth slip away, even as he tried to tell himself not to think the worst. In that moment, Liam noticed the slight shift outside the door. One of Emma's in-laws, her aunt perhaps, whispered something and another nodded, her face hidden behind a forced smile. There was a strange sense of celebration in their quiet whispers, a relief that had nothing to do with love or concern. Liam's chest tightened, but he had no time to confront them. His focus was Emma, his wife, the mother of his child. The doctor leaned close to Liam, his voice almost a whisper now. "Liam, we are doing everything we can. She's fighting, but the labor is very difficult." Liam nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. He couldn't cry in front of Emma, she needed him strong. Instead, he pressed his forehead against hers, feeling her shiver and whisper, "I love you. I love you." He could barely breathe, the sound of her words cutting deep into his heart. The hours dragged on, each contraction more painful than the last. Liam counted each breath with her, staying as steady as he could. Nurses moved around them like shadows, offering advice, encouragement, and assistance. Despite the chaos, Liam noticed Emma's eyes never left him. Even in pain, she tried to communicate hope, trust, and love without words. And that trust made Liam feel both grateful and terrified. Finally, the room fell into a tense silence for a moment. The doctor paused, looking between monitors and Emma, his face hard to read. Liam's pulse raced. He had never felt fear like this before, not for himself, but for the woman he loved more than life itself. He could see the exhaustion in her face, the sweat clinging to her hair, the way her fingers gripped his hand so tightly it left marks. Then it happened. Emma's body tensed violently with another contraction, and she cried out. Liam's heart lurched as the doctor and nurses moved with urgency, speaking in short, clipped sentences. "We need to prepare for a possible emergency cesarean," one nurse said, her voice calm but heavy with concern. Liam nodded numbly, feeling every second stretch unbearably. He whispered to Emma, "You're so strong. I'm right here. Just one more push, love." But even as he spoke, Liam could sense a subtle change in the air. The doctor's calm composure carried an edge Liam couldn't ignore. Something was very wrong, he realized. His eyes flicked toward the small window into the waiting room. He caught sight of Emma's in-laws again, their faces twisted into secret smiles as if they were expecting something he couldn't yet see. A cold shiver ran down his spine, but there was no time to dwell. Emma needed him. The machines beeped faster, alarms sounding faintly in the background. Liam's hands shook, but he refused to let go of Emma's. He whispered her name over and over, grounding her in his voice, trying to be the anchor she needed. And she clung to him, her strength fading but her trust in him unwavering. The room seemed to move in slow motion, the chaos of medical instruments and whispered instructions blending into a haze. Then the doctor's expression shifted again. He leaned close to Liam and spoke in a low, urgent tone. "Liam, I need to tell you something, but not here. Come with me for a moment." Liam's stomach dropped. Something terrible had happened. The fear he had tried to push away now clawed at him relentlessly. He nodded, his hand still holding Emma's. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself, and followed the doctor out of the room. Every step felt like a journey into the unknown. Liam's mind raced with possibilities, each one darker than the last. His eyes darted back toward the delivery room, where Emma lay, pale but still fighting. And somewhere in the back of his mind, the faint sound of whispers from the waiting room lingered like a shadow, a reminder that not everyone was rooting for their happiness. As the door closed behind him, Liam felt the full weight of what was coming. The doctor's expression was unreadable, but the gravity of his tone left no doubt. Something had changed, something that would alter everything Liam thought he knew about this moment. The suspense, the fear, the love, all converged in that hallway as Liam braced himself for the words that would either shatter his heart or change his life forever. Liam's heart felt like it had stopped entirely as he followed the doctor down the quiet hallway. The fluorescent lights flickered faintly above, casting long, eerie shadows that seemed to stretch toward him. Every step felt heavier than the last. His mind raced, imagining every possible outcome, each darker than the one before. The grip he had on hope was slipping, but he refused to let go. Emma was still in that room, fighting, trusting him to be strong. The doctor stopped at a small, private consultation room and gestured for Liam to enter. His face was calm, professional, but his eyes betrayed a quiet worry. "Liam," he began gently, "I'm very sorry. We did everything we could, but..." His voice faltered just enough to make Liam's stomach drop. The words hung in the air like a heavy, suffocating cloud. "No, no, please," Liam whispered, his voice breaking. Tell me she's okay." The doctor took a deep breath, steadying himself. "Emma didn't make it. She passed away during delivery." Time seemed to stop. Liam's knees weakened, and he sank into the nearest chair. His vision blurred with tears, and a cold emptiness settled in his chest. The love of his life, the woman he had promised to protect, was gone. He could barely process the sound of the doctor's words. Gone. Emma was gone. He wanted to scream, to collapse, to run back to her room, but all he could do was sit there, trembling. The world outside that little room felt unreal, muted, as if life itself had stopped. Every heartbeat echoed in his ears, painful and relentless. But then, a strange sound reached his ears, a quiet, almost hidden murmuring from outside the door. His gaze shifted, and he realized that the whispers and soft laughter he had sensed before were now unmistakable. Some of Emma's in-laws were celebrating. Liam's chest tightened with anger and disbelief. How could anyone rejoice at such a loss? His heart burned, but there was no time to confront them, not yet. His focus had to remain on what little hope remained. Then the doctor leaned closer, lowering his voice even further. "There's something you need to know, something important." Liam's hands shook as he gripped the edge of the table. "What is it?" he asked, barely able to speak. The doctor's eyes softened. "Emma left twins behind. They are both healthy, Liam. They survived." Liam's world shifted in an instant. Relief, disbelief, and grief collided inside him. He felt a tear roll down his cheek, but it was different now, less of despair, more of a painful hope. The sound of two tiny cries echoed faintly from the next room, and Liam's heart surged. His children were alive. Emma's love had left a part of her in this world. He took a shaky breath and stood, his knees still weak, but his resolve hardening. The doctor led him back to the delivery room, and Liam approached the bassinets where the twins lay swaddled in soft blankets. Their tiny faces, delicate and innocent, seemed almost unreal to him. He leaned over, brushing his fingers over their soft skin, feeling a connection so deep it almost hurt. "I promise you," he whispered, tears streaming down his face, "I'll take care of you. I'll make sure you always know how much your mother loved you." Meanwhile, in the waiting room, the in-laws' celebration abruptly fell silent. Liam walked past them, holding the twins close, his face calm but firm. Their expressions shifted from smugness to shock, and Liam finally understood the true depth of their character. They had rejoiced at Emma's suffering, but now, faced with the living proof of her love and sacrifice, their satisfaction turned to unease. The quiet of the hospital room embraced Liam as he cradled the twins, a mixture of grief and joy heavy in his chest. He remembered Emma's words, her soft whispers during her final moments, and he felt her presence with him now, guiding him. Despite the tragedy, life had offered a fragile, precious gift, their children. He looked down at them, each tiny hand wrapped around his fingers, and promised silently, "I'll raise you both with all the love your mother and I had. Nothing will take that away." In that moment, Liam understood the full weight of responsibility and the depth of his love. Emma was gone, but her spirit remained, alive in these two tiny souls. And though sorrow would always be a shadow in his life, it was now intertwined with hope, a reminder that love endures even in the darkest hours. As he settled into a chair with the twins in his arms, the quiet of the hospital felt sacred. Liam held them close, whispering softly to each, and for the first time since Emma's passing, he allowed himself a fragile, trembling smile. Life had changed forever, but so had his purpose. He would carry Emma's love, protect her children, and face whatever came next with courage and heart. Liam sat in the quiet hospital room, the twins nestled carefully in his arms. Their tiny breaths were soft but steady, a delicate rhythm that filled the emptiness around him. He could still feel the echo of Emma's presence, her love lingering in the air like a gentle whisper. Every heartbeat of the babies seemed to speak to him, a reminder that life continued even after such a devastating loss. Outside the room, the faint whispers of the in-laws were growing louder again. Liam could hear snippets, small chuckles, murmured congratulations, and the occasional sly smile. It made his chest tighten with anger, but he forced himself to stay calm. This wasn't the time to confront them. He needed to focus on the twins, on Emma's final gift, and on the responsibility now placed squarely on his shoulders. The doctor approached, a soft knock on the door preceding him. "Liam," he said gently, "I know this is hard, but I need to tell you something important about the twins." Liam looked up, his eyes red and raw. "What is it?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "They are strong," the doctor began, smiling faintly. "Both babies are healthy. Emma fought with everything she had to give them life, and they are here because of her strength. You need to know, Liam, that they carry her spirit." Liam's tears fell freely now, a mix of sorrow and relief. He traced his finger along the tiny hands of the twins, marveling at how delicate and perfect they were. "I'll make sure they know her," he whispered. "I'll tell them every day how brave she was and how much she loved them." He glanced toward the door and noticed the in-laws peeking in, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and guilt. Some had realized their earlier joy was misplaced, their smiles fading as they saw the reality of the situation. Liam's heart beat faster, a quiet storm of anger and grief swirling inside him. He knew he had to stand tall, not just for himself, but for the twins. Taking a deep breath, Liam rose to his feet, cradling the babies with care. "I need to leave now," he said quietly, his voice steady despite the emotions roiling inside. "I'll be taking them home." The in-laws' faces changed instantly. Some were shocked, others betrayed. One whispered nervously, "But, we should help. We're family." Liam's gaze hardened. "Family," he said slowly, "is more than blood. It's about love, care, and respect. You celebrated my wife's death. You don't get to decide what's best for her children." A tense silence followed. The weight of his words hung in the air like an invisible barrier. No one spoke, not daring to challenge him. Liam turned back to the twins, his resolve strengthening with every heartbeat. These children were his and Emma's legacy. He would protect them from harm, from cruelty, and from greed. He carefully gathered the blankets and prepared to leave the hospital room. The twins slept peacefully, unaware of the tension that swirled just beyond the door. Liam felt a pang of sorrow for Emma, wishing she could be there, wishing she could see the life she had brought into the world. But he also felt a spark of determination. Her fight was not in vain. Her love lived on, tangible in these tiny beings. As he passed the waiting room, he caught the eyes of some in-laws. Their expressions were unreadable, a mixture of fear and grudging respect. Liam didn't need their approval. He carried the twins like a shield of love, a fortress built from grief and hope. Every step forward was a promise. He would raise them with the strength, courage, and kindness that Emma had shown in her final moments. Outside, the sky was tinged with the warm colors of late afternoon. Liam paused for a moment, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders, but also the immense gift he now held. He whispered to the twins, "We're going home. I'll tell you about your mother every day, and I'll make sure you grow up knowing how much she loved you." In that quiet moment, Liam realized that life would never be the same. Grief would always linger, but so would hope, love, and memory. Emma's presence was gone, but through the twins, she would continue to guide him, to inspire him, and to live on in ways he could never have imagined. And as he stepped out of the hospital doors, the sun casting long shadows behind him, Liam felt a quiet strength settle into his chest. He was ready to face the future, to protect the twins, and to honor Emma's love. The road ahead would be difficult, but he knew one thing for certain: love, courage, and the memory of those we lose can create a light strong enough to guide even the darkest paths. Liam walked through the quiet streets, the twins swaddled tightly against his chest. The world around him seemed sharper, colder somehow, yet in his arms, life had never felt more precious. Each tiny breath of the babies reminded him of Emma, of her love, her courage, and the fight she had made to bring them into this world. When he reached home, the tension from the hospital still clung to him. Liam knew he had to face the in-laws, the very people who had celebrated Emma's passing, the same people who had doubted him and mocked his love. He set the twins gently on the couch, tucking them in with soft blankets. Their small hands curled and uncurled in sleep, innocent and trusting. The in-laws arrived shortly after, their expressions stiff and uncertain. Liam met their eyes calmly, but with a firmness that allowed no room for argument. "I will be raising these children," he said clearly. "You had no right to rejoice at their mother's passing, and you will not interfere in their lives." A hush fell over the room. The air was thick with tension, but Liam did not falter. He continued, his voice steady, though his heart pounded. "These children will know love, respect, and care. They will grow up with the memory of their mother, not with resentment or greed. I will protect them, and I will honor Emma's legacy every single day." Some of the in-laws exchanged nervous glances. A few lowered their heads, shame flickering across their faces. Liam's words had struck a chord, exposing their selfishness in a way that could not be ignored. Silence followed, and in that silence, Liam found strength. He did not need apologies or approval, he needed to ensure the children's future was safe. The babies stirred slightly, small whimpers escaping their lips. Liam bent over, brushing their tiny hands against his cheek, whispering softly, "Don't worry, I've got you. Always." His voice, though quiet, carried an unshakable promise. It was more than words, it was a shield of protection and love that no one could break. Slowly, some of the family members began to shift. Aunts and cousins who had once whispered against him now looked on with a mixture of understanding and regret. They began to realize the depth of Liam's commitment and the strength of his character. Perhaps they had not understood love before, or the cost of jealousy and malice. Now, faced with Liam's unwavering devotion, they could only acknowledge it silently. Liam spent the rest of the day bonding with the twins. He fed them, changed their diapers, and sang softly to them. Every touch, every whispered word was a promise. He would be their protector, their guide, and their father in every sense of the word. Each smile, each tiny blink of recognition from the babies filled him with both sorrow and hope. Emma was gone, but her children lived, and through them, her spirit remained. By evening, the in-laws had begun to understand. A few stepped forward tentatively. "Lim, we are sorry for how we behaved," one said quietly. Liam nodded, accepting the apology without anger. He did not need conflict. He needed peace for his family, for the twins, for the memory of Emma. He understood that love and patience often teach lessons far more powerful than anger or confrontation. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the room. Liam held the twins in his arms, feeling their warmth and heartbeat against his own. He whispered their names softly, promising to tell them about their mother every day, about her courage, her love, and the life she had fought to give them. In that quiet moment, Liam felt a shift, not just within the family, but within himself. The grief still lingered, sharp and raw, but it was now tempered with purpose and hope. The twins were a new beginning, a living testament to Emma's love and the resilience of the human heart. As the night settled in, Liam placed the babies gently in their crib. He watched over them, his heart swelling with both sorrow and pride. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. Raising twins alone after such a loss would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. But Liam also knew that love, true, unwavering love, could conquer fear, hardship, and even the darkest moments of grief. And as he finally sat down, exhausted but resolute, Liam whispered to the empty room, "Emma, I'll make you proud. Your children will grow up loved, happy, and strong. That is my promise to you and to them." The days turned into weeks, and slowly, Liam began to settle into a rhythm with the twins. Mornings were filled with soft cries and tiny yawns, afternoons with gentle feeding and lullabies, and evenings with quiet reflections on Emma's love and courage. Every small milestone, the first smile, the first grasp of a finger, felt like a miracle, a reminder that life, even after tragedy, held beauty and hope. Liam spent countless hours talking to the twins, telling them about their mother. "Emma loved you both more than anything," he whispered one afternoon as he rocked them gently in his arms. "She fought with all her heart to bring you into this world. You have her strength, her courage, and her love in you." The babies blinked at him, their small hands curling around his fingers as if they understood. Liam's heart swelled with both sorrow and pride. Some of the in-laws began to visit occasionally. At first, it was awkward, tense. Their guilt was visible in every hesitant step. But Liam met them with patience, setting clear boundaries while slowly allowing glimpses of forgiveness. He did not need grand gestures, only respect for the love he had for the twins and the memory of Emma. Gradually, the tension in the household eased, and even the most doubtful family members started to witness the devotion and care Liam poured into every moment with the babies. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in soft oranges and pinks, Liam sat in the living room with the twins on his lap. He watched them sleep, their tiny chests rising and falling with each breath. A tear slid down his cheek, not of sadness alone, but of gratitude and hope. Emma's absence was a constant ache, but her presence lingered in every smile, every touch, and every heartbeat of the twins. Liam thought of the journey he had endured, the fear, the loss, the betrayal, and the moments of unbearable grief. And he realized something profound: love does not end with death. Emma's love had survived in the most powerful way possible, through her children. It gave him strength when he felt weakest, courage when he feared most, and hope when despair threatened to take over. He whispered to the twins, "I'll tell you about your mother every day. You'll know her story, her laughter, her kindness. And you'll grow up strong, because that's what she would have wanted." The babies stirred, their tiny hands reaching up, and Liam felt an overwhelming sense of connection, as if Emma herself were watching over them, smiling softly from beyond. Days later, Liam walked through the garden with the twins in their stroller. The soft breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers, and the world seemed to stretch into infinite possibilities. He thought of the family, the hardships they had faced, and the growth that had come from grief. Some family members had begun to understand the power of love over envy, and Liam knew the lesson would continue to unfold as the twins grew. In quiet moments, Liam found himself talking to Emma as if she were there. "I miss you," he said softly one evening, "but I see you in them. I feel you in every little laugh, every soft sigh. You're with us, always." He would pause, let the quiet settle, and feel the bond that death could not sever. The twins' first laugh came one morning, and Liam felt a joy he had not known was possible after such loss. He laughed with them, tears streaming, feeling Emma's spirit in that pure sound. Life, he realized, could be beautiful again. It could be full of hope, love, and healing, even after the deepest sorrow. And as night fell, Liam placed the twins in their crib, their tiny forms curled in peaceful sleep. He watched over them, whispering one last promise for the day. "I will always protect you. I will always love you. And I will make sure you always know your mother's love. We'll be okay, because love, true love, never dies." In that quiet room, with the twins safe and his heart full, Liam understood the most important lesson of all: even in tragedy, love endures, and those who leave us can continue to guide us through the lives they touched. Emma's story lived on, not only in memory, but in every heartbeat, every smile, and every small miracle of her children. And Liam, though he had faced the darkest moments of life, knew that together, they would heal, grow, and thrive, carrying love and hope forward, always.